piece of me?
Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Good morning, Vietnam! I love the smell of napalm in the morning.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I feel the need for speed.
I wish I knew how to quit you.
Love means never having to say you're sorry.
You do. You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
What's up, film fans? Happy Thursday. Welcome to a new episode. Welcome to First Cow, and welcome to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. I'm your host, Juan, and I am joined by the cast, the crew, the guys. Zach, what's up, man? How you been?
What's up, guys? It's nice to be back for a little bit. What's going on? How are you, Johnny?
I'm good, man. It's been a week. I'm ready for Friday, and I'm just kind of excited, man. This is a little bittersweet. This is our last bonus episode of A24. What a month it has been. We have talked all kinds of movies. Going right back, a quick review of it. Me and Nick talked about The Spectacular Now. Me and Craig talked High Life. And then me, Edward, and Craig talked Under the Silver Lake last week. And then today, Zach, me and you get to talk. Yeah, just what you showed off there. First Cow.
There you go. It's kind of been looking back for the entire month. It's been a wide range of films. I mean, from everything from Everything Everywhere All at Once, Marcel the Shell, Bodies, 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 Men, and then next week we're doing X, or you guys are doing X, and then our bonus episode has been just, it's a wide range of A24.
Yeah. And honestly, Zach, I hope you can bring something to the table today with today's conversation.
Yeah.
Nick completely blew me away with The Spectacular Now. For those of you that have not listened to any of the bonus episodes, everybody who has been on the main show, the Mondays podcast, I was like, hey, you guys pick an A24 movie and we'll review it and talk about it. And Nick brought a great conversation with a great film, The Spectacular Now. If you guys have not seen it, go check it out on HBO Max right now. But I feel like every movie since then hasn't really met it hasn't been up to par. Yeah, it hasn't met my expectations.
Yeah.
Because with High Life, I'd only seen it one time. I've never seen Under the Silver Lake. And then this is my second time viewing First Cow.
How was Under the Silver Lake?
It's a strange movie, but you're a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan and you're a huge 50s and 60s noir film kind of fan.
Mm-hmm.
So I would highly suggest you go back and watch that movie, because the entire movie, the director does nothing but pay homage to Alfred Hitchcock in every single way.
Okay.
Yeah. And just to show you kind of show you how much homage he pays to Alfred Hitchcock, Andrew Garfield's name in the movie is Sam. So, and there's so much stuff that pays tribute to Psycho and a lot of other movies. So I'd highly go back and recommend that. If you guys haven't listened to our latest episode yet, go back and check out Men. It just dropped this past Monday. What a fun conversation that was. So go back and check that out wherever you listen to podcasts at. And then if you're wanting to just check us out all over, whether it be social media or anything, go check us out. Facebook.com/the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Instagram is all one word, the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. The Twitter is at Cinemen405. And then the email, which is the easiest and fastest way to get a hold of us, is cinemen921@gmail.com. Hit us up on the social media. You can also listen to us on prescribedfilms.com. That's www.prescribedfilms.com. You can check us out there along with a bunch of other great podcasts. So, but yeah, Zach, also, if you're listening to this right now on Thursday or watching us on Thursday, drop what you're doing and come check us out at Rodeo Cinema. I know this is an ad-free show, but Thursday the 25th, this evening, because this video is gonna drop on Thursday morning. Come check us out at Rodeo Cinema, 7 p.m. tonight. You can still get tickets to come see The Room. They're $20 a piece, but if you use our code only, Highmark, that is the code that you can get in for just $10. And you can only hear that code while you watch or listen to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So use the word use the code HIGHMARK, and that'll drop $10 off your purchase. And get in, let them know that you heard it on the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. So with that being said, Zach, let's dig into First Cow. Currently, IMDb has it at a 7.1, Rotten Tomatoes at 96%, while the Metascore is at 89%. The Google users have it at 81%. With a budget of $2 million at the box office, it made $1.4 million at the box office. A skilled cook has traveled west and joined a group of fun trappers in Oregon. Though he only finds true connection with a Chinese immigrant also seeking his fortune. Soon the two will collaborate on a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
First Cow stars Aaliyah Shawkat, John Magaro, Dylan Smith, Clayton Numero, Manuel Rodriguez, Orion Lee, and directed by Kelly Rickard. And this is also based off of the novel The Half-Life. Zach, in some instance, this is very A24, but also if you look at it from another aspect, this is like completely
opposite of A24.
Yeah. But as I've asked everybody on these bonus episodes, what was the meaning behind your pick? You know, out of all the movies in this catalog that you could choose from, what was it about First Cow that you just wanted to bring to an episode and talk about?
Yeah, you know, honestly, it was a film that, you know, it was right in the middle of the pandemic. I think this was slated to come out like March. And so in the theater wise, if, you know, everything was open, and then the theater shut down, and the Blu-ray came out in late June, early July, August timeframe. I checked it out, and I just thought it was so different from what A24 has been doing up to that point. You know, I just thought it was had a very realism to it that I really appreciated. I really liked and we'll get into the specifics of the movie, but I just thought overall it was just so different and very unique for an A24 film.
And its original theatrical release, like you said, pre-pandemic, came out August 30th, 2019, which probably not a lot of people got to go see.
Yeah.
But if you want to check this out now, if you have a Showtime subscription, you can check it out there. Also on the Hulu Showtime premium subscription, you can check it out there. Or if you just like renting movies, you can rent it on YouTube for $3.99.
Yeah.
Vudu, it's $4.99. Google Play and Google Movies for $3.99. So go check it out. I believe, just like honestly all the other movies we've talked about this month, it's at least worth a one-time watch.
Yeah. The Blu-ray, actually, according to my receipts, you can see right there, September the 9th, almost 2 years ago, that this came out on Blu-ray.
Yeah.
So,
and you know, with this being dropped August 25th, its original release date August 30th. So we're almost at its 3-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So
worked out perfectly.
It's almost one of those movies that, like I said, at least needs to be checked out once. But let's get into it. We always usually talk about the director for just a little bit, but I don't think
she's really done much, actually, since I think she's done like a couple of independent films.
Yeah.
But nothing like...
This is her biggest thing so far,
film,
and since then. So that being said, what was it like the first time that you checked this out? And then, honestly, in a few short words, what was it like for this rewatch for the episode?
So, I'm pretty sure I saw it before you, Johnny. I think because I recommended it on the show, and then it made my top 5 plus 5 of the year of 2020. The first time I watched it, I absolutely loved it. I thought it was just so original. I loved the setting. I love on the front of the box it says on the front of the Blu-ray it says a fable, a western, a buddy picture, and I think that summarizes the movie perfectly. And then when I rewatched it for the top 5 plus 5, it actually went, I think it was like number 1, and then it dropped down to like number 7 or 8, I think, and that's where it ended up. And then on this recent watch for this episode, I liked it more. So I think it's going to be a film that, going back and forth, it's just going to fall and rise, kind of like a roller coaster type thing. And I think with each new viewing of the film, I get a little bit more out of it. Whether it be I didn't notice the cinematography or the score or the performances of the two main leads from John Magaro and Orion Lee. There's just something it's a very frontiersman type film. And I think that's what I appreciate the most. And for your first time, Johnny, what did you think about it? Because I know I recommended it really high, and I was afraid you're going to be like, it's fine. You're going to do the old Zach is fine.
After the first watch, I liked it. I'd probably give it like a 7 maybe, because it was just something that was, like you said, very unique. It stood out. It is almost like it's almost like the alcohol they drink in the movie. It's an acquired taste. I don't think this movie is going to be watched and loved by everybody.
Yeah. And I get that. I'm not expecting, our listeners to be like, oh my God, that's awesome. I expect a lot of people to say it's fine to, I don't really like it. And that, that's.
And I think I was just and I have it in my notes, I was so in awe of some of the first things that I saw in the movie for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where it probably just stops for me. The second time around, I would probably just say pacing issues before we dig into it.
Yeah. And I think that this is the third time for me in its entirety. And each time it's just the pacing. Some of it is, this movie is only an hour and 50 minutes, probably without credits. Yeah. An hour and 40 or hour and 45. And it's
with credits it's 2:01. And the credits pop up right at like 1:58. So
it's a 2-hour film, basically.
Yeah. And boy, does it feel like it. At least on this, I just finished it probably 20 minutes ago, and it felt rough.
Yeah, I mean this time, I think you used the correct words, Johnny. It's an acquired taste, because like I have to be.
Yeah, got to be in the mood for it almost.
Yeah, because like when I sat down to watch this, I was excited to watch it, and I enjoyed it a lot more this time than the second time I watched it. The second time I watched it, I was kind of like, yeah, I liked it. It's got some pacing problems. There's some stuff that I don't really enjoy. But on the second time, I caught a lot of thematical things that I didn't really notice the first time around or the second time around. So,
we can go off some of your pacing of the movie, but the thing I did notice that I appreciated the more the second time around, was just the cinematography.
Yeah.
This movie from start to finish is just extremely shot, way to almost perfection from start to finish. And I don't even think this made it to any Oscar nominations.
No.
Because the other thing I wanted to mention was the score.
Yeah, I love the score to this.
Yeah, the score makes it feel almost like you're going through a museum and you're in an old town Western museum. And this is the music that's playing in the background while you're going through and looking at some historical figures and facts.
Yes. Which I know sounds really boring to some people, but for me, I like history. And so even it's perfect. In opening, that's what the first title of the score is, by William Tyler. The credits, I just love that like guitar type of frontiersman Western thematic tone of the film, and I think it sets it perfectly. And I have in my notes the aspect ratio. I called it slim but wide. I feel like it's just the ratio is very slim. It's almost kind of like a old style picture frame. Yeah, it's all you see, but there's just so much detail in the moving images.
What did you think of some of the I don't know, maybe the
what do you think of the two characters? Let's start with there. Cookie and King Lou. Cookie, he's very much a frontier cook. He's kind of cooking for these frontiersmen that are traveling from, I guess you could say, point A to point B, and then he comes across King Lou, who is wanted by murder. He murdered a Russian, someone from a Russian group of men, and he's basically running the force naked, and they kind of create this little bond of I think they have the same goals in mind. It's all about being an entrepreneur in this time frame. So, I mean, what do you think about that plot of the film?
I enjoyed the plot and I enjoyed the two characters. Did you by the end of the film, or even by the maybe the middle of the story, by the time they're making, what would you call them, the biscuits,
yeah.
By that point, I had a hard time just caring about the characters. I don't know why, but this second time around, I felt like there was no true character development. Like I didn't feel for them like I feel like I should have. And I don't understand. I mean, I don't understand why I feel that way.
Mm-hmm. You understand what they're doing, but you don't understand.
Oh yeah, I understand them
like
being
you as
there,
a viewer.
Right. Just as a viewer, I just did not care about what they ended up, what their goal was.
I think with this type of film, I think with this one, I think because the ending, that they're going to have mild success, but it's not really going to last. I think it's just one of those things of like, yeah, I know how this ends and I don't really care. Like, I know there's nothing more for me to discover about these two, I guess,
right,
is the way of saying it. And to me, and we'll talk about the ending, when we get to it. But I think in the moment where they're actually cooking the biscuits and they're actually making money and people are amazed by this little invention, which is basically just buttermilk from the cow. That's all it is.
Which they're stealing.
They're stealing, yeah. Which is, you could go into a whole long argument about that in on itself. But it's amazing how, I think King Lou says, wow, even the person that owns the cow doesn't even know that we're stealing from him. And it's just, it's the same milk that he uses for his own stuff. But they think it's just they created this modern marvel with these little biscuits. And I think that's just the humor in it. Is just that, during this time in American history, that's what people were always trying to do. They're always trying to create the next big best thing. And being on the frontier, you have to. That was your way of surviving, regardless of whatever the situation was. You have to learn to adapt to the world that you're around. And I think this movie depicts that very beautifully.
It does. There is a lot of despite my pacing issues or sometimes me not caring about the two characters, there is a lot that's just an overall beautiful story about this movie. Mm-hmm. Like you said, whether it be the frontiering, I know that they were based in Oregon, but was this movie actually just shot in Oregon? Or I think it was shot in Canada?
Let's see.
I don't know where they picked to film the movie.
They shot the movie in Oregon. So it's actually, quote unquote, historically accurate to probably what it was back then.
But it was just, and another thing that I noticed in this time of watch that I didn't before, there's not a lot of just pure, heavy, meaningful dialogue, really.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you need it because of how beautiful the cinematography is.
Yeah.
How they're going through and milking the cow, how they're going through and cooking the biscuits, their interaction between their customers, really, if you want to call them customers.
Yeah.
The interaction between just the characters in general. I think this is one of those movies that you could watch with subtitles and you wouldn't really need to listen to the dialogue.
No.
Because it's so simple. The dialogue is simple. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think the meaning is between meaningful dialogue and, I'm not going to call this useless dialogue, but maybe just dialogue that's not so powerful?
I think, in film, as a screenwriter or as a writer in general, you have to create dialogue that not only represents the characters that you created, but also have thought-provoking moments. Like when the two characters are kind of sitting around and they're just kind of, they're in their little hut that they've kind of created. And they have they're talking about their dreams. They're talking about, I want to open a bakery. I want to open a hotel. If you if we got on a boat and got otter pellets or whatever it was and went to China, we can make bank. We wouldn't have to worry about this living day to day. And I think that's part of the reason why I enjoy this movie so much. Is just even way back when, I have dreams that I want to succeed. You have dreams that you want to succeed. It's a very human nature driven way of thinking. And I think this is where the dialogue and the rest of the film, it's not clunky. It's not stupid. It's just there. It's just, these are characters talking how they would back in the time, And so I think for that, and to get back to your question, the moments that really work are just the dialogue driven moments between Cookie and King Lou. And the other ones are just like, yeah, okay. They're not bothering me. It's not taking me out of the movie. It's just there,
That being said, I do want to bring up the costume design.
Yeah.
How brilliant just the clothes and everything from that specific time frame. Did it ever actually say what century, what time frame it was?
Time frame.
I'm guessing it was maybe 1800s.
Yeah, like early 1820s. I think it's before the start of the Civil War, after the Revolutionary War. So it's kind of in that time frame of we're still discovering America, but we really haven't.
Because I noticed they called is it San Francisco? They called Saint Francisco, or is that just completely?
No, you heard it right. Yeah, it's like in a hotel in I think it's just because of his accent. He called it a certain way it's San Francisco they want to go to, but they call it like San Francisco or something like that.
Which I did enjoy the bar scene where Cookie goes in and gets a drink, and that's where you really start hearing about the first cow that arrived to Oregon, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like there was, I think it was a Stead and a youngling, but I think they both died on the trip, and she was like the last survivor. And so they're she's like the first one brought into the territory, which was, I'm sure back in the time that was a very big deal. It's almost kind of like if you had gotten to your job by horseback or by carriage, and the new T model Ford came into play, it'd be like a huge, radically change your life type thing. So, do you think that we're wrapping up A24 month? Do you think this is a film that like 10 years from now, this came out in technically 2019. So, by 2030, do you think people are going to remember this as like being an A24 movie? Or do you think it's like when they go through their catalog and be like, oh yeah, they made that?
I think it would be the second part. It's almost one of those, like, I don't know, like, but I can see this being just a heavily seen A24 film, like just because of the way it was shot, the score. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I think the thing that overall hurt this movie was not it being A24, was not people forgetting that it was A24.
Yeah.
The biggest thing that hurt this movie was the pandemic.
Yep.
I think that's legitly what happened. But I do want to ask you this. If it was not for what do you think? What does A24 mean to you? And I've had that question asked me so many times, but I almost tell people you can't ask that because it's a production company. So I was like, looking through the A24 catalog, would this be a movie that you would even maybe suggest to an A24 fan?
Probably not, truthfully. I mean, I would say it's probably one of my favorite A24 movies. It's probably in my top 5, maybe top 10. But it's not one that, like, when I think of A24, I think of Midsummer. I think of Hereditary. I think of The Lighthouse. I think of even Ex Machina. Even I don't even think, when you and Nick did The Spectacular Now, I forgot that was even an A24 film. That is like so on the other side of the ledge, on the other side of the point of A24, that it's like when you see the title come up, you're like, oh, they made that, And I think when people watch this, when they see the title, they're just like, "Oh, that's interesting," you know.
Yeah.
I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I think this film was very highly received. I mean, it was one of the top 10 films of 2020 by the National Board of Review, with The Five Bloods and Judas and the Black Messiah and Soul, Promising Young Woman. So I think it was very, very widely held regarded. It was the 2020 New York Film Critics Circle Awards Best Film of that year.
Oh yeah, this is a very highly praised film when it comes to just, you know, like I said, it's overall it's shot beautifully, it's directed beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
And there's emails that I'll read on Monday, but there's people comparing this to Power of the Dog, saying this is just as bad as Power of the Dog. How can I like this but not Power of the Dog?
Mm-hmm.
What do you say to that, Zach? How would you justify that email?
Did you watch Power of the Dog? First off, well, I mean, it was real. Power of the Dog was just announced on Criterion, so we all know who's going to be buying that in November. But yeah, I don't understand. Like, I don't understand that email, honestly. Like, okay, like I get why people wouldn't like this movie, but I mean, dude, I think you would watch this 10 times more over than Power of the Dog.
Oh yeah. I enjoy this. I enjoy this movie. The only thing I really had issues with this second time around was just the pacing. I feel like you can get everything you need out of this movie if it were an hour and 37 minutes.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, and like I said, every single time I watch this, it's just the pacing. Like I get into it, but it's just, you know, you think you're 30 minutes in, you're only 21 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just probably the only irritating thing about it.
And you don't even get any kind of dialogue for the first like 11, 12 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And what do you explain to that scene though about the girl looking and discovering the human bones? Why would you think that was even thrown in there?
And to me, like as a viewer, like the first time I watched it, I really forgot about that scene until you get to the very like last scene of the film, and
that's their bodies.
Yeah, clearly. I mean, clearly, I know it's their bodies, but like, I just want to know, like, what is that supposed to represent? Like, did they just die trying to live their dreams, but you know they got caught? Because like Cookie gets a concussion, but nothing really happens to King Lou.
You think they die there on the spot?
I don't know. I mean, because
that's probably the most A24-ish thing about this damn movie.
Yeah.
Is the very beginning of her finding the bones and then the very ending of them just laying down and it cutting straight to the credits.
Yeah. And you're kind of sitting there going like, wait, what?
What the fuck happened?
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't really explain what happened. They just lay there. They're just trying to rest from running, trying not to get caught and just taking a break from running. And then I can come up with a theory of maybe, I don't know, too much trauma to the brain or whatever, and that's how Cookie dies. But why would King Lou just, you would think he'd just run away too, but I don't know. Because my only theory is that they were caught and they just shot him on spot. That's my only conclusion that I can come up with.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's not I think when you set up a beginning like that, you find as someone that finds two skeletons laying side by side together, you have to come up with a better ending than what we got. At least give me some resolution as to why, what exactly happened right there.
Unless it's just symbolic that they ate, slept, and died trying to become and live the American dream.
Yeah. And that's maybe that's what the director was trying to show in the side by side comparison.
Yeah.
So,
do you have any other like kind of questions or just maybe some overall notes that you want to bring up or ask about First Cow? Because unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, this is the final A24 bonus episode of the month. We could even almost do like a retrospective of looking at the last 4 movies, maybe what even next year brings as far as next August goes. There's a lot of movies that we didn't pick. You know, there's over 100 A24 movies that definitely can let us live throughout. Pearl is coming out in a few months. The prequel to X that comes out in November. Zach, if First Cow was not there, what's maybe another movie you would have maybe picked for this episode? Was there some that you had it nailed down to?
I honestly, I think if catalog real quick, I think I probably would have picked, if I hadn't done First Cow, I probably would have either picked The Green Knight. Or,
I remember you bringing up Ghost Story.
A Ghost Story, yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably my other one I would have picked.
Yeah, and those are two.
So,
yeah, those are two really heavily fought out movies.
yeah, Ghost Story is probably, you can make an argument that's the most A24 movie ever, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. But going through, you know, what's coming up next, X on Monday, you've seen X.
Yeah.
You won't be there Monday, but what would you give your star rating for X? Almost a little review.
After watching the movie, I was kind of like, yeah, that makes sense why Johnny loves this movie so much. Really likes it. But really, after kind of watching the bonus features, and I highly recommend people doing it, you kind of get what Ty West is really trying to do with that movie, and it makes sense in retrospect after watching it. I don't really know what to think about the prequel that's coming out actually here in a couple weeks in the theater. But
is it in September?
Yeah, I think it's like September the 19th or something like that. September the 16th.
Okay. Because I thought it was November, but yeah, I didn't.
Let's see. September 16th. Yeah, I was right. It's supposed to come out in theaters. But yeah, X is it's another A24 film that, like, when you watch it, you're just like, is this like a sequel to Hereditary or something?
Yeah.
Or Midsummer. I know you're really anxious to talk about it. If I had to give it a star rating, I'd probably give it a 7. Honestly, it's very you have to go in with an open mind with that one. I will say
it's very uncomfortable to watch, but I'm just going to say this because I know we're getting ready to talk about it. Is to me as well that also is an acquired taste, but in the horror genre.
Yes.
So. But going back to First Cow, unless there's anything else you would like to bring up about First Cow, do you have a favorite scene maybe throughout that whole movie that you want to talk about?
I think probably my favorite scene is probably when they're cooking the biscuits and it's just become like a madhouse of people cutting in line just to get these little buttermilk biscuits. And when he's actually milking the cow, he's just very like sweet and just very caring and very like soft. And I don't know, it's just, there's a lot of this film that I understand why people wouldn't like, but it just worked for me as a film and as an A24 film. So probably, and then them just talking about their dreams. I think that summarizes the movie perfectly, honestly.
When they first go to King Lou's little pad.
Yeah. Their little crib.
Yeah, the little crib. If I had to mention, like a favorite scene or two, I would bring up the scene where Cookie meets King Lou again at the bar, and Cookie's thinking about taking the baby.
Yeah.
I like.
You think it would have been a different movie if they had taken the baby?
I would have liked to seen what would have happened, or maybe like some suggestive thoughts on maybe how that would have happened. And then, I think it's interesting going back and forth, seeing them steal the milk and then climb up in the tree when they think somebody's coming.
Yeah.
Or just trying to sneak away, because it's not edge of your seat, kind of suspense, but it definitely does leave you to say what's going to happen if they get caught.
Yeah, it's true.
And then, this is just honestly, even though it's a slow-paced film, the quality of filmmaking in this movie is honestly,
it's top notch.
It is. It's outstanding. If you're a filmmaker, or if you're somebody who's wanting to get into film, or say you're just a movie fan in general, but you're trying to find that itch and trying to get in that quality of artsy kind of films, and you want to know what the difference is between. Honestly, I'm just going to break it down. This is simple. If you're a movie goer and you want to know what cinematography is, watch First Cow.
Yeah, I would totally back that up.
Because cinematography at its best is in this movie, and you could almost argue that in a lot of A24 movies.
Yeah.
If you just want to know what cinematography is, don't Google, don't YouTube it, watch an A24 movie.
Yeah, I totally back that up.
But yeah, slow-paced film, but the quality of filmmaking for me in this movie is something that saves it from, an atrocious 2-hour slow poke of a film.
Yeah. Which judging by the emails, that you've gotten already, it looks like that's what people are pinning this up to be.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's an acquired taste, but I knew going into the month of August and talking about A24 month, I knew that whether it be Mondays or Thursdays, I knew that some of the emails would not be up to par what they usually are.
Yeah.
Because these are movies, don't get me wrong. These are movies that we're talking about that not a lot of people are probably interested in hearing us talk about.
Yeah.
Who's interested in hearing about Everything All at Once or Marcel the Shell, Bodies. I don't know how men or X are going to do, but it's just one of those that, you know what? I think one month of the year is not bad to dedicate a whole month to A24.
Yeah.
Because it's just so diverse in film.
We need to be the official podcast of A24. Let's be honest.
And they have one of those.
So.
But yeah, let's dig into star rating. Zach, go ahead and go first, and I'll go first. You save your thoughts for you save your thoughts for last. My overall was a 7 on this second time around. I think I'm going to drop it just to a 6, just because of the pacing of the movie. If I'm looking at this giant girthy catalog right next to me, I don't know if First Cow is going to be the first one that I go for. It may not even be in the top 5. It would extremely be in the top 10 with maybe an honorable mention. But honestly, this time around, I don't know how it would affect me a third or fourth time.
Yeah.
So like I said, it's an acquired taste. I have to be in the mood for it. And it's also one of those movies, guys, if you're listening, you want to watch with nobody around you, just so you can get involved and immerse in the story.
Yeah.
So right now I'm going to give it a 6. But it's just based on the pacing and the rewatchability. Just a really too much of a slow-paced film this time around. But like I said, there's a lot to love about it. The dialogue, the character involvement, the cinematography, the score, the costume. But I'm going to give it a 6 for now. Zach, what about you?
I'm going to give it an 8, honestly. I think it's, like I said, it's probably one of my go-to A24 films, and one of the reasons I picked this film is because it's just so different from their catalog. Everything that everything we've talked about in times past is just so not what you expect an A24 movie to be. And I think that's why I like it so much. It's just so the director didn't care, it was A24. It was just, the company gave him some money and said, here, go make this movie that you want to make. And she made a film that I think she can say is proud of. And I'm proud that I can say that I enjoy it. Like I said, it's like you said, Johnny, it's an acquired taste. It's not going to be for everyone. It's fine. If you hate this, I totally get it. But to me, it works.
Is this one of the few, and you really have to love it in order for you to buy it? Is this one of the few A24 movies you do own?
Yeah, I have this one. I have Uncut Gems. I think I have one or two more, but those are the two that really hit me the most. Like to be honest, I kind of wish I had seen this at the theater. To be honest, nice. I probably would have liked it even more.
Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
But that's the case, and Zach really does have to like or love something in order to purchase it. Zach, one weekend I wish you would hop on some physical media talk one week with me and Nick. But I do think like there's a difference between the two people that collect right here that you guys are watching or listening to us. Like Zach is more of the quality over quantity kind of collector, well, I'm just like, it's a dollar.
Buying
Put it in
everything.
the. It's a dollar. Put it in the buggy.
I mean,
Taylor Lautner starring in it. It's on Blu-ray. I'm buying it.
I mean, one of the big purchases this year was the Citizen Kane Criterion.
Have you ever seen that yet?
Not yet. No, you can see it's still saran wrapped. Actually,
I'm talking about. Have you seen the film?
Oh, Citizen Kane. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen it. And then this was just a spur of the moment buy, but actually 16 Candles, the Arrow version.
Oh, nice.
So it's I would agree with your summary of I like quality over quantity.
Which there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
I think it's fun to sit there and talk to physical media collectors about why, how, when, and where. And me and you, I think we could work something out later on down the line. Maybe towards like Thanksgiving or something. We can have a whole episode where we just do nothing but talk about physical media.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. First Cow. What a way to end the bonus episodes for this month. We have one more A24 episode in the works, which is going to be X on August 29th. And then for a crossover event, Friday the 14th UHD, this next Wednesday, August the 31st, the very last day of the month, me and Nick are going to talk all about Tusk, which is another A24 movie, but we're taking it. Yeah, we're going to take it and put it over on Friday the 14th UHD. So that's next Wednesday. Yesterday, me, Nick, and Fuentes talked all about Countdown, which you guys can go back and listen to that episode. But man, I think that's gonna do it. For those of you that are wanting to know what's next in September, August has been a fun month. Next Thursday, August the 1st, me, Edward, and a very special guest that he may not be named right now are going to unleash anime on you guys. This is going to be the first time we've never ever talked anime on this show, but for every single Thursday for the entire month of September, or it may be, I don't know if we're going to do every week or bi-weekly for September, but September the 1st, we're talking Tokyo Revengers. Next Thursday, August the 1st, which is on HBO Max right now. You guys can stream it on HBO Max. So go HBO Max it up. Zach, I'm not a huge anime fan, but you know what? It was an idea of somebody's, and we're going to try to do it next Thursday, August the 1st. What's your take on anime?
That's just, it's not my cup of tea, to be honest. It's never been something that I've gravitated towards. And so, I mean, I get it has a huge fan base. I know there's like a new Dragon Ball Z movie in the theaters right now. So
packed, I tell you. The theater lines I went to the theaters this past weekend. The lines going into those movies, packed.
Long. Wow.
The Dickens.
Wow. So, I mean, I understand. I get that there's a fan base for it, but it's just not for me. So it's cool that you guys are really tackling that, because I know there's a huge fan base for it.
There is. And honestly, the guy who brought up the idea, Tokyo Revengers, was a hot animated series on HBO Max last year. Season 2 is coming up, I think he said, in October. So what an idea. I can't wait to talk about it. Introduce a new on-air host to the Cine-Men Movie Podcast, and also bring up a whole new subject matter. So I think this is going to be very fun times for the Cine-Men Movie Podcast. If you guys want to listen to us, don't forget Monday, August the 29th, we're talking all about X. It is our official final A24 episode, August 29th, Monday, right here on the Cine-Men